Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Music of the Week. Again, not really a whole bunch of time to waste with this one. Got about 6 albums to go through, so I'm going to go through them as quickly as I can. We begin with a debut, a band named All Hype with their first album titled 3D, and can I just say, the name All Hype for a debuting band is kind of fantastic. This is a pop-punk band with very easy core-leaning vibes, very, Rise or Die Trying, sort of 4 Year Strong era for me. I really like this one though, I'm giving it a B+. I enjoyed a lot of the facets of the album. I thought it was very enjoyable, just from a purely fun pop-punk perspective. It's probably the most fun album I'm covering in this entire video. I just really liked how it came across. I really enjoyed the overall presentation of it. The instrumentation is really good. I like the riff work. I like how heavy and fast-paced it feels. Lyrics, I couldn't really find a whole lot about, and that's going to be sort of a theme for a few of the albums in this video, spoiler alert, but might be stuff about broken friendships, probably. I don't know. I wasn't really able to find a whole bunch. I did find the performances to be very endearing, though. A lot of charm to them. The production was very, very clean. It felt very big in a lot of places, too, and I liked a lot of the choices made. Again, it does lean itself to that easy core style, like that early 4 Year Strong, or just a bit more, Chunk Now Captain Chunk. That's a good example. They're also a really good band. God, I hope they drop another one soon. And also, yeah, structurally wise, not a very long album. I think it's one of the shorter ones of the video. Might be the shortest I'm covering in this video, but gets a lot in there for an album that's 24 and a half minutes long. It's not a very long album, and I'll obviously correct the time if I'm wrong, but really fun, very short, to the point, easy core. So if that's your jam, and it's certainly my jam, might be good for you, especially considering it's a debut. Really enjoyed a lot of what it had to show. Next, we have a band that's definitely not debuting. We have Drop 19s with their first album in 30 years titled Hard Light. This is a very sort of shoegazy band, and they came from an era when shoegaze was sort of melding with grunge a bit more. There was a few other bands around the time, most notably My Bloody Valentine, for example, and I guess Dinosaur Jr., but they were never really shoegaze band to me. I'm giving this one a B. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good shoegaze album. It had the very dense and thick riffs to it, that the genre is usually accustomed to. I really like it when it's done well, and in this case it is done quite well. The bass work is really good too. There's some solid synth work. I like the performances, especially the female singer whose name I keep forgetting, but obviously I will fix it in post. Yeah, she does a good job. The entire band just does a really good job, to be honest, in this one. Production-wise, I think it was handled by the band too, and, they know what they're doing. And I do like the pacing. I do think maybe some elements of it can drag slightly, but they do bring it around nicely with a good core shoegaze sound. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, Jake, you haven't brought up the lyrics. That's because, well, there is lyrics, so I'm not going to say that there's not, because there is. But I couldn't fucking find anything in terms of themes, and anything I could find to read just came off as weird. It came off as all these, in-joke references, and it felt a bit tonally clashing with the rest of the album. I couldn't even tell you what a central theme was, because I tried looking and I couldn't find any, so maybe, I don't know, the passage of time and the yearning for youth. That might make sense considering it's the first album in 30 years, but it just felt weird. It was very weird from a lyricism or writing perspective, which is a bit of a shame because everything else about the album is really good. It just felt like a joke I wasn't involved in, or some reference where I had to sort of pretend, but I don't know. Just be slightly aware of that. Don't listen to this one for the lyrics. Listen to it for the really good production and performances and all the other stuff, just not the lyrics. Next, we have Free Throw and their new album, Lessons That We Swear to Keep. I have a weird history with Free Throw because they're always a band who drop new music, and I'm usually a few months late to the party. So yeah, this is their 5th album overall, 3rd I'm listening to, and from the ones I have heard, this might be their best one. Giving it an A+, pretty much all across the board. Really fucking loved this. So first of all, I love the Midwest pop-punky vibe that the band put out. It's my favourite style of pop-punk. And, I like my Spanish love songs and my hot water music. That sort of slightly grouchy vibe to the vocals with, the emo tinge. Like Hot Mulligan did earlier this year, and also well, Youth Fountain without the graveliness, but still also a really good example. Also, go listen to the new Youth Fountain album anyway. But yeah, really fucking enjoyed this. The riff work was amazing. I liked the sort of mathcore elements that did give me slightly tiny moving parts vibes, much like Hail the Suns album did for my last episode of Music of the Week. I said Mock the Week. Yeah, really good riff work, fantastic drumming too, but it's mostly the guitar work that stands out for me. The lyricism covering things like loss and anxiety and friendships as well, personal friendships, just really also wholesomely written too. A very sweet album at the end of the day, a very realistic album. It's not like an overly saccharine one, it's not one that's like promising too much. It's so grounded in its writing, and I fucking adore it for that. The performances are fantastic as well, but the standout for me is probably lead singer and guitarist Corey Castro. He is damn near untouchable. His vocal range has improved a lot, and his guitar work is still fantastic. I do think he's actually the lead guitarist as well. Although I think this band has like 3 guitarists, but I think he's like the main lead one, and his lead work is really good. Obviously, the production is also brilliant on Wax Bodega. I don't know who the producer was, but they did a fucking cracking job making all the details pop, making the sound feel big and very, very strong and powerful. And structurally wise, also great. I love the build-ups, I love the fucking climaxes it reaches. The closing track might be one of my favourites of the entire year in terms of just closing songs alone for an album. Ooh, this is a late runner to the top 30. It could be in the top 30. It's a fucking amazing album. Definitely the one I recommend the most, and the only one to even reach an A grade for this episode. So, yeah, go check it out. Next, we have another debut, a band named Tsunami with their self-titled first album. This is a beatdown hardcore style band. Sort of think of like the vein of like, say, Cro-Mags and I was gonna say throwback, Madball and Throwdown. That was the Throwdown. I couldn't remember the fucking name of the other one. Give this one a B minus though. I liked a lot of the elements of it. I do think it does go for the more simplistic approach of just like, it doesn't set up refinement with its punches, it doesn't go for accuracy, it just goes for hitting as fucking hard as it can. But at the end of the day, I do appreciate that. I do find the lyrics about police corruption and political greed to be very strong points throughout the album as well. I think they're pretty good. The performances are quite nice as well, you know, very believable, very gritty. The band's drummer, Benny Eisman, is really fucking good. He's probably the standout for me. I like the production. Very, very clean. I think it could have benefited from being slightly more raw in places, but I'm not going to complain about it too much. I do think it did a really good job of really making the sound just feel fucking massive, for the lack of a better term. And structurally wise, very short album again. I think this might actually be the shortest album, because it's only got 8 songs on it, but it is classified as a full-length LP and not an EP. So I don't know, maybe 8 songs is the minimum. And again, for an album that doesn't have a lot to it, it does at least try and get a lot done, and it just focuses on hitting you over and over again with just really good beatdown style hardcore metalcore breakdowns. So if that's your cup of tea, this might be a good one to put in your mug. That failed. Next we have Type 2 Error and their first full album, Caught on the Raw. Now Type 2 Error is a band that were formed from the ashes of another band named the Cooper Temple Claws, I think. I think they were formed in England, and they were around for a fair bit. I'd never heard of them until I did a bit more research into Type 2 Error. Given their first album here a B, I thought this was some really good indie rock leaning alternative stuff. I liked the more poppy electronic synthy elements to this, and I really like how they married with the overall sound, and there's really strong riffs at the core of it as well. I do wish there were some solos, but I'm not going to complain about it. I thought overall, like, the rhythm section was really nice too. Lyrically, again, couldn't fucking find anything, which is weird because of all the albums where I couldn't really find much in terms of lyrics. This is probably one of the easier ones to understand, which is why I'm not going to hold it against it as much. Maybe there's a theme about relationships, probably, I don't know, but I do like some of the words that they use, at least, and it is a very clean and easy to decipher album in terms of that, so I'll take that. Performances are really good. The lead singer and guitarist does a great job. I think his name's Ben Gautry, something like that. It's something Gautry. Again, I'll correct it in the editing process. Production is really good too. I think it was handled by the band themselves, and if so, you know, really good job. I like it. Usually when a band does their own production, I'm all for it, and if that is the case here, I like it. It's good. And then also the structuring was pretty good for the most part. I do think a few songs do drag a bit past their stopping time for me, and it does feel a bit like, you know, padding out and just throwing some stuff that they're just sort of like, you know, you could work that into the main song, not the end of a song, and just kept it going for an extra minute. Like, that's not something you needed to do. But all in all, really good album for a band that hasn't really put anything out. I was going to say for a while. For a band who used to be in a band that haven't put anything out in a while. I mean, they formed in 2013. It took them a decade to make this. So, yeah, really good for what it is as well. Really enjoyable. And finally, we have a band named Walking Corpse and their second album, Our Hands, Your Throats, which is a kind of a badass album title, I won't lie. But I'm giving this one the lowest grade of the episode, and it's a C+. So this is a death grindy, sort of grindcore band, and people know that I don't typically cover that particular style of music because, you know, I like actual songs. And the only sort of like death grindy band I sort of like, because they actually had, you know, melody and variety and nuance and good writing, is Venom Prison. And I'm not at all biased because they also happen to be from the UK. You know, they're from Wales. I'm in England, but you know, it's not a biased thing. It's not like I think they're fucking brilliant, and you know, should get more attention than they deserve. I should focus on talking about this album. There were some elements that just didn't do a lot for me. I feel like the riffs were a bit too chaotic. They didn't really add much spark, and it did feel like they were just trying to get through things quick. I do appreciate the blast beats, though. If there's one thing I can say about grindcore, if you can get a good blast beat, do it a lot, and this album does do that. Lyrically wise, again, fucking nothing. Nothing on themes, nothing to read. I can't even make any assumptions on things because, you know, it's a screamy, death grindy album. I couldn't fucking understand any of it. So, maybe stuff about depression and death or something. I don't know. And structurally wise, again, not really a lot. It doesn't really control itself or rein itself in so much. And this is Van's second album, the first in 3 years, and they just didn't learn any restraint. I don't know. I haven't listened to their debut, so that might be better. But this just felt a bit like a weird one to me, where they're just trying to fucking speedrun and not really add a lot of experimentation or spice to their sound. However, having said that, I did really like the performances, and the production is annoyingly fucking good. It is almost insult how clean and organic the album sounds from a production and mixing standpoint. It's very, very weird how cohesive that is, and how believable the band's performances are, when the overall sound itself is just kind of like trying to get through it and be as heavy as possible and be as fast as possible, while not really adding much new. So that's why it gets to C+ and not anything lower, because like the performance of the production really save it. It's still the album I recommend the least, but if you are going to listen to it, you should acknowledge how fucking clean it sounds, because it's bizarre. It really, really is. I still recommend giving it at least a go. I enjoyed enough of it, and I will keep an eye out for the next one because it's still about early into their career. But we'll see what happens. And that'll about do it for another 6. As always, I'll do the official ranking system. So it's Walking Corpse with Our Hands, Your Throats, Tsunami with Tsunami, Type 2 Error with Caught on the Raw, Drop 19s with Hard Light, then Type 2 Error with Caught on the Raw, All Hype with 3D, and Free Throw with Lessons That We Swear to Keep. As always, though, go listen to all these, formulate your own opinions, because that's what makes this shit interesting. That's what makes this shit interesting. And my favorite album cover goes to 3D by All Hype, because I love the sort of visual gag of the album's cover art being the blue and red, like the old 3D glasses would be. I just really like that. It's a good joke. That'll about do it for me, though. The next thing you'll see me for will be a reaction tomorrow, and then the return show of PUW vs AVW tomorrow night. That's going to be a whole hell of a lot of fun. So I'll see you all for those things. Yeah. And then probably on Sunday for my top 10 UFC fights of the year, because there's no more UFC cards to cover. So, yes, I gotta get something done. On Christmas Eve, no less, as well. I might try and save that for 2024, but no. It'll probably be out on the weekend, maybe on Sunday. But I'll see you all tomorrow at the earliest. As always, thank you for watching. You're awesome. Bye-bye.